welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are back with the Wild Raven Tarot Show. I am doing this behind the cards segment with somebody that I'm very, very excited to speak to. Today we have James from James Jude Tarot here with us. This man is so... I didn't realize how many times I had seen your name on credits before until I started digging into it. James is a tarot card reader, a teacher. He started an LA tarot conference. You know what? I'll let you.
It's okay.
Tell me about yourself, James.
Okay. I'll try and do it succinctly. I am a tarot reader. I read regularly at 2 venues in Los Angeles. I read at TarotArts in South Pasadena, and I read at the Philosophical Research Society in Los Feliz. I also, last year, I founded the Los Angeles Festival of Tarot, which is coming up this year in 2026, the first weekend in June 4th and June 7th. And it's our venues are also both TarotArts and Philosophical Research Society. I am a card scout for TarotArts and a moderator and teacher in that venue. I've done some workshops at PRS and some other guest places. What else? I am.
You host your own tarot talk show.
Oh yeah, I have a talk show called Tarot Talk Show, and on that show, rather than having a list of questions in advance, I let the tarot direct the conversation. So I pull cards not for my guests as a reading, but it kind of winds up being a bit of a reading. But I pull cards to prompt the questions that I'm going to be asking, or the area that I'm looking at.
I love that.
I'm also a wand maker, and my legacy work, which I may occasionally return to here and there, has been in film and television publicity. And I've worked on a lot of different things, but my comfort zone in film and television is in the supernatural world, and I've worked on most of the Conjuring universe films.
The Conjuring, Malignant, The Devil Made Me Do It, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona, Lights Out, The Insidious. Oh, dude, you have...
I didn't do Insidious. But
Chapter 3.
But I've known. I did Sinister. I did Sinister 2.
Sinister is so scary, man.
Yeah,
that's a great flick.
The Boogeyman, Salem's Lot. I had a really cool little cameo in Salem's Lot, but it got cut. I got to be a vampire. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Were you really?
Yeah. Oh, the makeup was insane.
I've always wanted to be a zombie in a movie. My friend Ty, that I grew up with, made that. He was in a zombie movie.
Oh, that's cool. Ty. Well, it's kind of, I mean, it's undead, right? Vampires are undead. So
vampires are sexier than zombies.
I don't know. Here, I have an image here. Let me see. I don't know how well it's going to show up here, but how sexy is that?
That's cool, dude. I'm loving that. That's amazing.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I named off those movies in Selena Essence of the... Selena does a Thursday night show with me called Behind the Moon, where we talk about magical stuff. She is mi hermana. We love each other. Love you. And she was freaking out of the names you were saying, The Conjuring and everything.
I have an Annabelle doll in my living room.
Shut up.
No. Yeah,
No,
Well, from the film, not the real one. I've seen
I
the
don't
real
care.
one, but
No.
it, in the case and everything, like built for the film, and I'm married to the most incredible guy because he was like when when he came home from, I didn't tell him, I had to go down to LAX to pick it up when someone from the studio called me and said, we can't get rid of these things, do you want one? And I was like, hell yeah. And he goes, well, you got to go down to LAX, this warehouse, and go pick it up today if you want it. So I did, and it came in one of those gigantic wooden crates like you see in a mummy movie, an old mummy movie, and you had to like open it with a crowbar and everything. But I had it standing on the back patio. My husband came home from work, and I was like, what is he? He's going to make me put it on the patio, right? And so I opened it up and I said, look at what I got today. And he goes, oh, wow, we're going to put it in the living room, right? And I'm like, that's why I married you.
See, nah. I've been a witch for over 40 years, and why tempt fate? No, I'm not gonna do it. Nah.
Oh, because,
Okay, I've got a
not...
thing with creepy dolls. Ever since Karen Black in Trilogy of Terror with that
Yeah,
little sucker.
classic.
Ever since that movie, I just yeah. Yeah. All right. Selena's husband keeps Chucky in the closet. So we've got Shannon joining us. Selena, people are dropping
Hi,
in.
everybody.
Xerox. I'm not sure how to say that name, bro. But hello, everybody that is joining us. Shannon is here. David is here. So, I remember Karen Black in that show. That was a great movie. She played all three parts. I'm just saying. It was a great flick.
Yep.
So let's dig into this, my friend. We're going to cover pretty much everything. So,
all right.
But we
Bring it
all
on.
need a starting point. Now, for me, my spiritual journey began because my family is very spiritual, witches and psychics and shit like that. As I say, very professionally. Where would you say your spiritual journey began, and what prompted it?
I mean, the corporeal spiritual journey, I guess, right? Because if spirit is eternal, I'm not really sure where it began, somewhere a long time ago. But I know what you're saying, and it is a little complicated because I felt very connected to magic when I was a child. I had a difficult childhood, I'll say that, where I grew up, and it wasn't family stuff. It was situational, the location, the part of the country, the times, right? It just wasn't a great growing up situation. And so I escaped into magic. And at that time, our library in our elementary school had a section on magic, and I would check out books on candle magic and spell crafting
Really?
for children. Yeah. It's hard to imagine that happening in America today,
Not
right?
really. In high school, I talked about this on my show before. I went to high school in Claremont for a while, and they had a class called Unexplained Phenomena, where we just watched scary movies and then reviewed them, and we read tarot cards for each other. That was it. That was the class.
Well, high school in California, but elementary school in Arkansas these days.
Arkansas.
Maybe.
Really?
No. That's not where I grew up. But I'm just saying, today,
oh yeah,
that might be surprising to find a section in a library, and maybe not. I don't know. Neither here nor there. So that's where I kind of I escaped from the world that was not very kind around me, into magic, and it stayed with me through high school, but not a deep practice, just sort of on the periphery, right? I knew some friends in high school who were witches, but they weren't open about it. And now we're in Texas. So when I was in high school, I was living in Texas. Very connected with, you know, the work of Stevie Nicks and through Fleetwood Mac, and not realizing that she was also a witch at that time. But like all of these connections were sort of, there was a lot of intuitive connection. And then I broke with it all. When I went to college, I took a couple of classes. I went to a Jesuit university. I took a couple of classes with a father who basically, he designed these classes to deconstruct hope and then deconstruct God through modern literature. And we all in the class thought, this is great. When is he going to give us something to replace these things he's taken away, hope and God? And he didn't. And I asked him one day, I said, why did you do this? Why did you like take away hope and then offer a class on modern literature and God, and then you deconstructed God and took God away from us too, instead of replacing it with something, and now we're all like spinning. Right. And he said, you know, I wanted people to have a blank slate. I wanted you to come to God on your own terms, through your own questioning, through your own beliefs, not through the didactic teachings of the church. You know, it has to be authentic for it to be real. But I was also a philosophy minor and studying existentialism. And so it just kind of like, I went very, very far in the other direction and spent many years as an with a lack of belief and a lack of connection to magic, consciously at least. And then it was through the Conjuring universe that I mean, it wasn't the first thing. I got my first tarot deck 30 years ago. Tarot was something that I always felt connected to, but I didn't, from that first deck, I didn't connect right away. I tried, and then I went from deck to deck to deck, but it was through the Conjuring universe, through an exorcist bishop named Brian Willett in Georgia, who did our set blessing for The Devil Made Me Do It. And he reads tarot cards, and he really got me reconnected with this world in a substantial way, and that brought me back into that spiritual axis.
Dude, get this bun out of here. Every now and then we get trolls, you know that.
Oh, I'm not sorry. I'm terrible about paying attention to comments while I'm talking, so
that's okay. I've got Selena here. She's my mod for today, so she's gonna make sure these little, I call them twat waffles. These little twat waffles are taken care of. So you said deck to deck that you went through a lot of decks. Was there one that finally grabbed your attention? We were talking about this backstage, where certain decks vibe with me. What caught your attention?
Yeah, so that very first deck, which I still really love and I have, was the William Blake Tarot. Then I tried Etea, the Etea 3, but I didn't know anything about tarot. Like, if I knew today what I knew then, I would not start with an Etea deck, right? Beautiful and interesting as they are, but and then I tried Thoth, and so there were all these different iterations that I was going in and out of. And oddly enough, the first deck that I really connected with instantaneously was Kim Kranz's Wild Unknown.
Wildly
It's not a
known.
deck that I read with today that much. I do still really like it. And I think it's a powerful deck. And there's one reason why it's such a commercially successful deck. But yeah, that was it. That was the first one. And the very first card I ever pulled for myself was Death. And I was so happy. It made me so
Were you?
happy. Yeah, I was. Because it said to me, this old life is over and you're ready to begin. You know, once you finish and you put that to rest, just so that you know this is ending. The next card I pulled was the Fool, and then the Magician.
Okay.
And that was like, you the mundane life is ending and you're ready to start this new journey into a magical life. That was the first reading I ever did for myself.
Rachel is here, Rachel White,
Hi,
and
Rachel.
she says, AKA Anubis.
Yes.
Hell yes to the death card. My friend Joey's card is the Tower card. She loves that card where everybody freaks out over the Tower card. She's like, absolutely not. I love that. It's sudden insight. It's the opportunity to rebuild.
It's, you know, it's funny. I'm teaching a class on the tarot, or on the Tower, on Wednesday of this week. So I'm in the midst of reading a lot of different voices, and the history of that card is expansive. You know,
Well, we're
it goes
gonna
back.
get to the death card, so save on that.
But I'm saying that for the Tower, well, yeah, we'll go
Oh,
back
the
to that,
Tower
whatever.
card.
But you know, Babel, Sodom, the house of Pluto, the house of the devil, the, you know, thunder, destruction. You know, it's such a powerfully terrifying card. And then you get to Jodorowsky, and he's like, everyone's got it wrong. It's release. It's opening the gates of opportunity. It's the mind expansive, and so yeah.
For me, I'll tell you my favorite association with the Tower card is pay.
Yeah.
The mouth that speaks the truth and brings about destruction. So this is what starts it for me.
Sure.
Yeah, that's that bolt of lightning. So the Magician card. Once you figured out that tarot was your vibe, or that magic was calling you and that there was an unseen world, was it difficult for you to express this to the world around you? You said you grew up in an area where it wasn't conducive.
Yeah, I grew up in central Pennsylvania. That was where my childhood was. I went back and forth from central Pennsylvania to Texas, where my father lived. My parents split when I was young. But there was nothing about the Magician, or nothing about moving into this next phase of my life that was, well, it's interesting now that you're saying it and I'm thinking about it. It's I guess maybe there was like a recognition of freedom, right? That I could finally embrace something from my childhood and from my youth that had called to me and drawn me so powerfully, and that I had suppressed for decades. And finally it was like, here's your wand, here's your cup, here's your coin, here's your sword. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I've lost sound. Hold on.
No, it wasn't you. I was muted.
Okay.
Sorry. I apologize. And just to let everybody know, the sounds you hear in the background, James is undergoing construction on his roof right now.
Sorry.
So
I hope it's not too bad.
no, it's not. I just noticed it and it clicked for the first time. Can communicating the woo side of ourselves isn't always easy. It can be difficult for other people around us to accept. And I bring that up because Rachel White has a new book coming out called The
Yes.
Business of Woo. And it's a much needed tool, I believe. And I can't wait for it to come out. So our next card is actually the High Priestess. When it comes to divination, was tarot the first divination tool you used?
Hmm. I think so. Yeah. I paused for a moment just to kind of roll back the mental
Right.
Rolodex and see. But I think so. It certainly is still, although I definitely explore other divinatory tools, and I'm fascinated by them, and I want to learn and know everything.
Mhm.
But tarot is absolutely the most powerful and strongest tool that I feel connected with. So yeah, it probably was the first.
Okay.
And you know what? It's appropriate that you asked that question. This is the deck that I usually read with, but this High Priestess, because how difficult it was for me for so many years to really connect in the way that the High Priestess is like sits on that dais and doesn't block you from accessing the information beyond the veil, and doesn't really invite you to either. It's like she's in this liminal, like in this real, she's a liminal figure in a real setting that answers questions, but in that, with that lunar watery aspect of uh, a lack of clarity. Sometimes you don't recognize it until maybe the answer has manifested. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Um, when it comes to the High Priestess, back in the day, I went through a rough period of my life, and I actually had a waking vision, one of those dreams when you're awake and moving around, when you first wake up, and it involved the High Priestess and the goddess Hecate and the veil and the
Mm.
whole thing. And from that moment, I didn't realize it at the time, but that kind of set my path for the future. And that was the moment that I met the High Priestess.
Mm.
Um, People think I'm nuts when I say that, but it's
No, it
true.
sounds like maybe she's one of your guides.
Hecate is my patron deity, Hecate and
Mm.
Hermes. Um, so the Empress. In
Mm.
what ways do you nurture your spiritual self? How do you take care of yourself? Because I see a lot of people start reading and doing psychic work, and they don't remember to handle this and take care of this. What do you do to honor yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I so I also I'm a ritual magician. I practice ritual magic, and so um, I have rituals in place for when I open my space to do work. So there's that sort of formal aspect of things that I do. And you see me drinking tea right now. That's also a part of it. I have my incense going, cleansing aspects, my candle, things that you can't see that I don't have going all the time, but I consider this also to be a part of the practice in a sacred space. So I have these things. I opened this space before we joined today, so that's part of it. Um, I uh, I'm a member of the Arboretum Mysticum, which is the lodge of 22 teachings School of Hermetic Science and Magical Arts in Los Angeles, but they have online. You could attend the lodge online if you wanted to. That is another aspect of nurturing the spiritual part. And then in terms of my body, I wish I could say that I did better than I do. I do still have aspirations. You know, I don't exercise as much as I want. I don't eat as well as I'd like to, but I try, and it is an aspect of. I mean, I think it's important taking care of the body as well as the mind and the spirit, and the mind aspect of it. I mean, you can't really see it, I don't think, but there's a bookcase over here. I have books everywhere. I have tarot decks everywhere. I'm constantly consuming knowledge, and I always will be. So
Right. It's an endless journey, spirituality, I say. When it comes to spirituality, do you believe it's fluid and different for everybody, or do you believe spirituality should have more strict rules?
yes. Both. Yeah, I do. You know, think of it this way, in a similar way to the tarot. I think that it's important to understand systems, and to have a foundational understanding of our ancestors and teachers in the world of spirituality, and for me in terms of magic, and to understand those systems. And until you have that foundation, I don't think that you can really authentically break out. Well, I shouldn't say you, me at least, can't really fully and authentically break out from that. And that's a lot of my practice, is understanding the systems, using those systems to guide me, but not feeling bound to those systems.
That's a great way to put it. I tell people these are the boundaries that we have as humans. If you can figure out how to work within these, knock your socks off. There are certain rules that are not up for debate. Now that one's loud.
Sorry, he's right above my head.
That's okay. I love workmen above my head.
I mean, let me say one other thing about that and systems. What I sort of started to talk about with tarot. If you look at it through the lens of tarot, there is a structure to tarot, and there are traditional meanings to the cards, depending on what system you look at. Right? There are all kinds of systems as well, and but when I do a reading, for somebody, I'm aware of the meaning, the traditional meaning of each of those cards. But if I'm only doing a reading based on those traditional meanings, or reciting that without looking at the full story and being able to link them together and move beyond, and listen to my guides and respect that, that's moving beyond the structure into reaching more for that information from the liminal space.
You said something that caught my attention when you were talking about being part of the lodge. When my next question is the Hierophant, and the question is, do you follow any particular path or religion? Can you tell us more about a Hermetic lodge?
Do I follow? I want to answer the first question first. Do I follow any particular path or religion? Not. I mean, yes and no. Consciously, I don't feel bound to a single one, and in that way, maybe chaos magic makes a little more sense to me. But I respect other systems and beliefs. I try to, right? And but my world follows, I guess, yeah, I don't know, maybe Kabbalism and Hermeticism. It does make a lot of sense to me. I've been working in that world for a long time, but it's not the only thing, I would say, right? And what does it mean to be a member of a Hermetic lodge? It means studying, um, studying sacred texts, honoring teachers that have come before us, honoring the teachers that I have now, and striving to understand the structure of the universe, from the material world all the way to Keter at the, the top of the tree of life, the crown, striving to understand and work my way up through that tree. I guess, the Kabbalistic tree of life is a real, a very important understanding of how I approach the spiritual world.
I'm doing a lot of classes on my members page. I started trying to teach tarot, incorporating the Kabbalistic view, showing people how the tree of life associates with the tarot, aces for Keter, etc., etc. I think it's important that people understand why that tree of life is on the Ten of Pentacles, why the symbols are in the cards. Tarot is very important to me.
It shows, and it's in more places than just the 10. It shows up.
Oh yeah.
In other places. Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to.
No, that's my fault. I have a bad habit of cutting people off, and I'm working on it.
No, you didn't cut me off. It's good.
Now, let's talk about practical things. Our next card is the Lovers. I've not always had the best time with people accepting my spiritual beliefs. You mentioned that your partner, you found a good one. Has it always been, or have you ever had difficulties in relationships with your spiritual side? I hope I said that right.
Yeah, I think I understand it right.
Did anybody give you crap?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I don't have this like really developed or interesting history of romance in my life. I've been with my partner for 16 years, and a lot of the work that I'm doing now comes from has developed throughout our relationship. Right. So I think a lot more, if there was any friction ever, it might have been more from my lack of attention to the spiritual life rather than my dedication to my understanding of a spiritual life. But I think I want to say something that you said, or highlight something that you said in that question, which was, let's turn to practical matters. And then you said the Lovers card, which
well, because when I think of
the Lovers, for me, it's among the most misunderstood cards in the deck, and it's one of the cards that I have the biggest trouble with, depending on how it's presented in a deck, and I'm working on that. But I think of the Lovers in a very traditional sense, going back to the the ancient Italian and French, Marseille decks, when
Marcy.
it's about choice. It's not about romance. When the Lover's card pops up, I don't immediately think romance. It can speak to that, but I'm thinking, what are you facing? What decisions are in front of you that cause you to have to make a decision between your passion and your desire
Yeah.
and your fiduciary duty to something or someone, right? Do you do the right thing, even if it's not what your heart maybe wants to do? Or do you do that and then move on up to the tower, suffer the consequences, whatever they may be? But it really is about a crossroads when I see that card come up, usually.
Well, I tell people when the Lover's card comes up, love, to follow the path of love is a choice. You're
Hmm.
making that choice. So
It
same
can
smell.
also be, it also connects for me a lot of times in that struggle between the head and the heart, right? When you know something in your head, but you feel something differently in your heart, and you really are trying, like the magician, to pull from above and from below and integrate those things inside yourself, pulling from above in your head and below in your heart and integrating those things. I see that as the Lovers as being that struggle sometimes too.
Gemini energy can screw you up with those two voices right here.
Still love
Uh,
all you Geminis out there.
it's true. Geminis. My brother's a Gemini. Grew up with a Gemini and a Cancer. We got Gemini, Cancer, Leo, all in a row right there.
Wow.
So
I just made a realization the other day, and you'd think it would have been so obvious, right? I know and I'm not an astrologer. I don't want to put myself out there as an astrology expert. I know a little bit, but I'm I'm a Capricorn sun, I'm a Scorpio rising, and I'm a Sag moon. And it was just this week for the first time that I went, "Oh, that's the devil. That's death, temperance, and the devil." I mean, I know the card associations, but I never put together that my zodiac were those three cards in succession.
yeah, mine is the Strength card. I
Oh,
am serene and pure as the driven snow. So, um, yeah, my husband's a Capricorn, so I married the devil basically.
yeah.
And my best
Now
friend,
you
we
know
joke
why I
about
feel
it.
comfortable with Annabelle in my living room.
Yeah, my husband is Capricorn. My best friend is a Capricorn, and I'm surrounded by Earth energy that does fire no good. So, um, let's talk about the Strength card. Well, did we skip? Yes, we did skip
Chariot.
the Chariot card. Um, how do you balance your light and dark impulses to stay on track? You do a lot. You've got a lot of accolades going on. You've got a lot of projects. It's not easy to stay on track. Um, how do you balance things?
It is a constant work in progress, and I feel like my my relationship with time has transmuted so much in the last few years. I really don't. It's as if it's as if time is evaporating, and I see it visually as an evaporation, almost like an alchemical evaporation, where I'm like, why don't I have enough time to do this? Why don't I have enough time to do that? Um, I do have a lot of things happening, and part of my struggle is I I don't like to do anything half-assed,
I was gonna
and
say,
and so I can't just take a picture and post it on Instagram without editing it, without choosing the music, without writing what I'm going to write, and it can take me 2 hours to do an Instagram post that no one's going to look at and go, they might even just scroll by it. Most people probably do, but I don't care, because I need to do that. That's part of who I am. And so I probably do take on too much. I'm trying to figure out maybe how I can pull back a little bit from that while still honoring my impulses.
That is my current challenge, is being a little more discerning with where I'm applying my energy and who I'm allowing access to it. So speaking of, how do you spend your alone time? We've got the Hermit card next.
Wait, what about strength? Did we do strength?
Oh, yeah, I was talking about strength. It automatically in my head. All right, fine. If we got to do them all, let's do strength. Where do you find your inner strength?
We don't have to do them all. I don't know. I don't mean to run your show for you.
No, when we were talking, I got so into the conversation, I forgot the format. They kind of go together, actually. Strength and the Hermit. For my question, where do you find your inner strength? First of all,
when I'm alone.
Yeah, when you're alone.
No, it's true. It's true. I actually, listen, nothing happens by accident in a tarot reading. And although this isn't a traditional tarot reading, you got tarot involved here. And I got my cards out. And there's a reason that Strength and the Hermit went out on a date here just now. And that is because I do find, part of the strength card that I find so fascinating is whenever I turn strength over, and the Chariot too, but whenever I turn strength over in a reading, the first thing you think is, oh, that feels good, right? Strength, strong, right? But it's one of those cards that has this dark side to it. What is the beast inside yourself that you need to tame, right? How do you present yourself to the world, and who are you when you're alone by yourself? And are those two parts of yourself integrated? Are they balanced? And that's the Gemini challenging your Leo there, right? That is a part of that card, integrating those two selves, and that takes strength. And I struggle with things like everybody else, and I love being around people, and I love working with people, and I love empowering people, which is why I do this work. And I find it exhilarating, not draining, but I'm deeply empathic. And if any of you are really empaths out there, you'll understand it's not a blessing. It feels like a curse most of the time, because is excited, like literally after I do this interview today, I probably will be down for the count for a while. I will have to turn inside. I will need to, because my energy level right now is so high, and I'm feeling everything and I'm absorbing everything. It's not draining, but it uses up my battery, right? And so that the Hermit is one of the most important archetypes in the Arcana for me that I relate to, because as much as I love being around other people, I could spend weeks not leaving the house and being perfectly happy.
Looking to see. Oh, hermana. I thought you said hermano. I thought Ramon was here, who is another dear friend. I just wanted to give him a shout out if he was. And even if you're not and you're watching this, Ramon, what's up? So,
hey, Ramon.
when it comes to the strength card, something that has always stood out to me more than the lady gently closing the lion's mouth takes strength. To me, it takes a lot of strength for that lion not to rip that woman's face off.
Mm.
So, look, I advise people to look at it in different ways.
Also, it's interesting that you say that, because I love all animals, but we have cats, and I think that cats are just the most fascinating domestic creatures. And one of my cats, who is my soulmate, is a cat that I rescued from the grounds of one of the castles we were shooting at in Romania for The Nun. And it's very close to Sigishwara, which is where Vlad Tepes was born, who is the figure that Bram Stoker used to create his character of Dracula. And so, like, my cat was born in the shadow of the land, like literally of Count Dracula.
That's
And
awesome.
he's incredible, but he understand, like, I have such a close relationship with him, and he's still a cat, right? He has a cat nature uh, in him, and as sweet and loving as he is now, when he was a kitten, he was a terror. But when he's so he can still get overstimulated and have that cat attack aspect to him, and I have to be aware of that. I have to be insightful and sensitive to that in him, and be willing to step away when that happens. So it's interesting that you talk about that uh, self-control that the cat has, because he's learned. His name is Pookie, by the way.
I
He
had a
has,
dog named Pookie.
yeah.
Yeah.
My husband came up with the name. I was going to call him, this is a little aside, I was going to call him Pipi, Pipi. I was in Romania, and I was walking from the stage to the base camp, and one of the actors was walking past me towards the stage, and he said, "Have you come up with a name for this cat yet?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to call him Pipi." And he goes, "Pipi? You can't call him Pipi. Do you know what this means?"
What does it mean?
Like, pee,
Oh,
you
the
know?
oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I was like, okay. And so then my husband said, "We'll call him Pookie." And I'm like, we named him
I
Pookie,
thought you
and
meant
now we call him Poo Poo sometimes. So I'm like, he went from Pee Pee to Poo Poo. But he has many other nicknames. We don't
I
call him.
just call my cat Beelzebub. She's well, her name's Aria, but she has shredded
The
my
cats have
entire
like
body.
50 nicknames, right? Like, if you're a cat
Yeah.
owner, you get it. Your cat doesn't just have their name. They have
Yeah. I love my kitty. I have 5 dogs and 2 cats, but my Aria cat, she's my baby. She she's my doll.
Well,
Uh,
if you're interested in seeing Pookie, I don't post to the account that much anymore, but he does have an Instagram, Pookie from Transylvania.
cannot find a name is finally with us. What up, boo? Glad you could join. So now let's talk about the Hermit card. I'm having
Wait,
so
didn't
much
we? We
fun.
did.
Yeah, we talked about the Strength card. We talked about the more about the Hermit card. I have another question on the Hermit.
Sure.
Looking back at your life, is it a huge surprise where you are now?
Kind of. Yeah. Um, yeah, it is kind of. I, but it's like, it's a happy surprise. I feel like I'm finally doing something that I love, like really and truly love. Not to say I didn't love aspects of the work that I did in the entertainment industry, and potentially will still be doing from time to time, but um but I have to find those aspects to love. Now, what I do, in to use Rachel's terminology, in the world of woo, in the business of
She's got me
woo,
saying that too.
right? Um, it's like genuinely thrilling every day.
Okay. Yes, James's channel is up. Thank you, Selena. Please jump over there and do your thing. My big thing, what I'm surprised at now, is how I'm able to help other people ignite the fires within themselves. That is my greatest joy. Um, Whenever somebody says, Bobby, you inspired me to do this, I'm like, yes, because I know they're going to go out and they're going to inspire other people. And that thought just makes me happy. If I
I'm
don't,
100% aligned with you.
yeah,
I feel exactly the same way. I'm right now. I'm working on my coaching certification. I just finished an IFC accredited program. I'm probably going to be doing a Jungian program also, but I want to be able to incorporate coaching and mentoring aspects with my tarot practice to be able to really help people achieve what they want to in life, and not approach uh, necessarily the use of the cards in a predictive nature to like, because there's a lack of control in that, right, in your life. Not to say that you can control everything, and maybe I'm moving in a little bit to the next card, but not to say that you can control everything. But in this, which is the year of the Wheel of Fortune, right, which also reduces numerically to the magician, are you going to be spun by that wheel, or are you going to be the magician and are you going to spin it, or are you going to stick your wand in the spokes and stop it from spinning, right?
ooh, that
You
sounds
have the
painful.
power to be able to do that to a degree, right? Take control um, through magic.
True dat. Now, the wheel does spin. Sometimes it spins in our favor, sometimes it doesn't. Can you share a significant turning point in your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I mean, hmm, well, there's been so many. I like, I mean, I could tell you things that have happened, or instances, or um, events, people, but honestly, every day that I wake up and get to do this is a continually turn, like an upside of the turning of that aspect, really.
Right. That's probably one of the best answers we've had on the show. Every day is a new adventure. And every day I wake up, I'm like, what's going to happen today?
I
It's
mean,
true. Sometimes I ask, which way is the wheel turning?
and you can think like, how many times have you woken up and you're like excited to face the day, and then the day faces off on you, right? And that excitement begins to wane, and you're like dealing with all of the real materialistic needs and aspects
Yeah.
of what's going on. And then there are days where you wake up and you're just like, oh, I just don't want to do anything, but I'm going to get out of bed and go, and things start to turn and go your way. Like, you can be prepared, or you can think you'll be prepared for the day, or expectations of the day, and it may not turn out that way. That's where the magician aspect comes into play. Like, I'm excited for the day, and the day begins to fall apart in a way I wasn't anticipating. How do I react to that? How do I spin that? How do I take control of that back, right?
Right. I try to do it through humor. Like if I screw up, Joey laughs at me, my best friend. Um, I'll do something and then look at it and go, well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And she just starts laughing at me. So, you know, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. It's just the way it is, people. So, justice, yes, wheel justice. All right, making sure. The justice card is one of the cards that asks if our lives are in balance. If you could go back and change one thing in your life, what would you change, or would you change anything?
Yeah, I would change a lot of things because I have so much more knowledge today, right? Um, and yeah, if I went back and changed things, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Maybe there's that conundrum, but given that opportunity, I would. And probably one of the biggest things I would have done is, as a child, really stood up to the bullies in my life rather than um, retreating inward.
I get that.
I did it in different. Sorry, I did it in different ways than. Like when I think about it now, I would have been more confrontational. But I think that aspect of my childhood also helped me develop a very profound sense of injustice and other people who are um, suppressed and bullied by others and not tolerating that. I think that's another reason why I'm empowering people, helping people feel empowered is important to me. So.
What's the last thing to go through a bug's mind when he hits the windshield? His ass. That's wrong. So that joke blew something right out of my mind.
I remember about the Hanged Man.
Well, I was going to start the Hangman, but we're going to stick with this for a second. The Justice card is Libra energy, and Libra is ruled by Venus, a need for harmony. So, worst beatings I've ever gotten in my life, I have dentures now because of the broken teeth, was because I was standing up for somebody else and got in the way so they wouldn't get beat up. I didn't know the guy I was squaring off against was a professional boxer who made a big bobby puddle on the floor, but I did what I set out to do. I stopped that from happening. But yeah, injustice, that's what I can't stand. Bullies, I just cannot take them. The Hanged Man, the question I was going to ask was about sacrifice. Do you feel you've had to sacrifice anything to achieve the life you have now? Are there any major regrets?
No regrets in that regard. But it's interesting when you ask about sacrificing something to get where I am now. Sacrifice doesn't. And then you asked about regret, but sacrifice doesn't necessitate regret, right? In fact, for me, where I am now, right now, in this world, working and doing the work that I do, what I had to sacrifice was the thing that paid my bills in a very substantial way, right? But it was also the thing that held me back from becoming my authentic self. There's not a lot of room in the world that I work in entertainment, and I don't mean this from a philosophical perspective. I mean it strictly from a practical time management perspective. There's not a real opportunity to be able to do this work on this level while doing that. And even the cyclical nature of production, where maybe I'm working on a show for 3 months or 6 months, and then I have 2 months off or whatever, it's too disruptive, right? that flow of things. So I did have to make a conscious decision to not be as proactive in looking for production work in order to let this the work that I do with tarot and with the divinatory arts to become um, more omnipresent in my life. So that sacrifice does not come with regret.
It sounds like you continually look for more things to take on to yourself. And editing seems to be your problem, is what I'm hearing.
That is a
Um,
huge, yes, that's a huge.
I have that problem when I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, let's do a show together, and just I'm clients. Let's do a festival. I'm overloading myself, so I'm really working on that.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
your description, I was like, oh my gosh, he does this. Oh my gosh, dude, that's a lot of stuff that you've got going on in your
Is
life.
it? It's too much, right?
Well, I can't say too much. It's too much for me because I'm not
No.
capable of doing that. But um,
I
do
told
you
my
have
husband
trouble?
over the weekend, I said, I just want to do nothing. And he goes, well, then do nothing. And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I can't. You're not kidding. Joey, again, the Vale Cottage Witch is my best friend. I stayed the night at her house Friday night because we had a early day Saturday. Um, she sells at the Bisbee Market, but point is, I stayed the night and there was no husband, no dogs, no cats, no house cleaning, no this. I didn't do anything, and I fell asleep, bonk, like that instantly, and it was awesome. It was just doing nothing. I don't think I could do it regularly, but it was a regular thing. It was wonderful. We were talking about the death card earlier.
Hmm.
Um, you have very specific views on the death card. So my question normally is, how do you approach change and transformation in your life? And from what I gather, it sounds like you like new things. You like change.
Hmm. No, I don't really like change. I like routine. I like very specific, but I've had to make peace with change, right? And
Ah,
and it's still a battle. I haven't made peace with it. Um I when I was working in film and years ago, my role as a publicist in a production is to tell the story of the making of that story, right? And so the first thing I would do in my pre-production week would be to sit with the schedule from the assistant directors and go through it and identify all of the days that I could do all of the things that need to get done, interviews, set visits, all of this stuff, right? And then build my schedule out based on that. And people would say to me, and then I would get really stressed out when the schedule changed, right? Which it inevitably does, sometimes multiple times in a day, let alone throughout the week or the course of the production, constantly changing for many, many reasons. And I would be like, oh, another change, oh, another change. And then one day I said to myself, you know what? If if you accept the fact that change is a part of this job rather than fighting it, and it's an expectation, it's going to change, then understanding it's a part of the job, it doesn't become a challenge to the job, it becomes incorporated into the job. And and it's an allegory for life at the same time. When was able to make that shift with work, and then people would say to me, why are you doing that schedule in the beginning week when you know it's going to change? And I'm like, I need a baseline. And then
Right.
when you guys change it, I'll follow. I'll follow that change.
I'll
And it became a
adapt.
part of the rhythm of the work that I did. And I try to, not always successfully, but I try to apply that to my life as well.
That is a great outlook on life, to just admit that change is gonna happen. Let's roll with the punches. Sometimes I will kick and scream and I don't want things to change, and I'm like holding on for dear life, and there just comes a point when I have to let it go. I can't adapt as easily as you can.
Oh,
I'm
I'm not
working
saying
on
it's
it.
easy. I'm not saying it's easy. No.
Change can be, but dude, this is what I'm like working with artists. It's my challenge every time. I try to organize myself and the other artists to collaborate on a project. This is great advice. Thanks.
Yeah. Understanding the nature of the people that you're working with, or the nature of the work that you're doing, and
Yes.
working within that paradigm rather than the paradigm of your fantasy, how it should be, can get can alleviate a lot of stress.
If everybody would just do it the way I want it done,
Yeah,
everything would be
but
fine.
I
All
know, I
right.
agree.
So now we're on to temperance.
Hmm.
Temperance, I do
One of
love
my
this
favorite
card.
cards.
This card I love because it's the survivor's card. Was there ever a point in your life where you just didn't think you were going to make it, where things were
Yes.
so overwhelming?
Oh, it's funny. Like you said that, and the first thing that came to my mind was, like, viscerally took me back there for a moment, was being caught in a riptide.
Shut up. Really?
Yeah. I had just gotten back from, I had spent 5 months in Italy with my family, and I'm Italian, and I did a lot of swimming in the Mediterranean. And I came back to Los Angeles. I lived in Venice Beach at the time. And I was like, how can you never, like, you love swimming. You had such a great time. You can walk to the beach. Why don't you ever go swimming? So I went swimming, and I got caught in a riptide. And the first thing I did was panic and tried to swim against it. But I didn't do that for long, because the Capricorn kicked in very quickly and was like, okay, you've read enough about this. This is how people die. If you don't, if you don't change what you're doing, you you may not come out of this. So what do you need to do? You need to swim with it, but into it. And I said to myself in my head, I was like, I don't care if I wind up 30 miles down the coastline and I have to call someone to pick me up or walk a day to get home, as long as I'm alive to do it. Right
Yeah.
now, the most important thing is survival. And and so that's what I did. And it took me almost an hour to get back to the shore. And I wound up on the shore about 2 or 3 miles away from where I went into the water. So not quite as dramatic as 30 miles down the coast. But that I don't know why, like, when you said that, that was the moment that came immediately to my mind. Um, but it's also maybe because I haven't really thought about it that much, but as I'm explaining it, and as I remember, like, working cross directionally with the current in order to get where I wanted to go, needed to go, but not knowing how long it would take me to get there, is also maybe a metaphor for how we live our lives when these forces come at us, um, instead of fighting them head on. which I think of a lot when I think of the Four of Swords, right? I have a lot of nicknames for different cards in the deck, and I call the
So do
Four of
I.
Swords the lay down your arms. Lay
No,
down
that's
your
the calm
arms.
your tits card. Calm your tits.
But if you keep fighting that battle in the same way and not winning, it's the same thing. Like working cross directionally against the forces that come at you in order to get where you want to go.
A lot of you guys are watching from different parts of the world. Riptides in California are no joke. It's where the water's going in two different directions, and you're kind of getting pulled in areas you don't want to go.
Very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how the wave goes in? Well, it also goes out. So, and when you get caught, it can, that's how people die. I've been caught in riptides myself, and not
It's
to
scary.
the point where I thought I was going to die, but yeah, it is scary. It's disorienting. Yeah. That is a great metaphor. I love that. And let me throw this out just for everybody. Temperance is the survivor's card. Don't give up on anything, you guys. All right. Don't let your problems pull you under and overwhelm you. Speaking of problems, now we've got the devil card. The devil
Capricorn.
card.
Yes.
Yes, I married a Capricorn. The devil card can be mean being chained to the wrong things. What was the hardest thing that you ever had to break free of, be it a person or a concept?
Wow. You know, probably the hardest thing that I ever had to break free of was I don't know how to answer the question exactly grammatically in response to that, but it has to do with my father. So my father and I had a very contentious relationship growing up, and for many reasons. And I wrote a book about it. It's not published. Don't go looking for it. But when I started writing that book, which was my master's thesis, when I started writing that book, I hadn't talked to my father in 12 or 13 years. And I thought that I would never speak to him again for the rest of my or his life, and that I would only ever be able to make peace with him and what had transpired between us over the years at his grave, but never to his face. But as a result of writing that book, and in a very disingenuous way, I might add, my thesis advisor was like, "You've got to go. You're doing this part of research for the book, and you need to go talk to him. Like, you need to." And I'm like, "I don't want to. No, I don't. No, I don't want to write about him. I hadn't even started writing." And anyway, there was a really big aspect of the book that I was writing about, and I did seek him out for information. And again, I don't want to go too deep into it. It's a pretty prolonged story. But through the events that transpired as a result of that, we reconnected, and what was a disingenuous reason for doing so became very genuine, and I learned to forgive him. And he, at one point, a few years later, after we reconnected and everything, asked me for his forgiveness, which was not in his character at all. I mean, he called himself the old Texas Stonehead, if that tells you anything about his personality. Very stubborn, he was both of my parents were naval officers. That's how they met. But my father was a career naval officer. He was a decorated marksman. He did a lot of shady things for the military, I'm sure. I don't have any proof of that, but it was like he was a tough guy, and I didn't fit his tough guy archetype of a son. But there was this aspect of him that was very soft, soft, not weak, soft, not weak. That he didn't feel he could indulge or show the world or be free with. And so when I began to see him more as a human, or the human aspect of him outside of being just my stone-headed father, it's that significant thing of learning how to be able to forgive people, and like what that really means. Forgiving somebody is not a word. It's not like saying, or a phrase, if you say I forgive you to somebody, that doesn't mean that you did, and it's not absolution for them either, right? It's a process, and it's something internal that really happens. So yeah, it would be that.
It's very interesting how that parallels with my dad. My dad, 100% chingón is the phrase that my family uses to describe my dad. 100% badass. He was an airplane mechanic. He was in the military, same thing, and I didn't fit the mold of what. Ironically, he has 2 gay children, so he passed, and I was conflicted about that as well. So I vibe with you. I get it. I get what you're talking about. Forgiving is tough, Selena. It is, and I'm still working on it. Luckily, I'm a witch, so I could talk to my ancestors. So working it out. Now, let's talk about the tower. We had touched on the tower earlier and why I think it's a cool card. Why? Before we get into that, describe a moment when your world came crashing down unexpectedly. Looking back, was that destruction necessary for your current foundation?
There's so many times.
Right?
So many times. There's a tower anecdote I want to tell really quickly, but at the end, I want to answer your question first. I think probably the most significant tower moment in my life, and for where I was at that time, yeah, it was necessary. So when I was in high school, I come from my half of my family very struggles a lot with addiction issues. And so when I was a teenager and living with that part of the family, I had experimented a lot with a lot of different things. And I was involved in a car accident coming home from a graduation party. And there is no way in a million years I should have ever been behind the wheel of a car. Absolutely not. I don't even know how it happened, but it happened. And I crashed my car through a brick wall, over a fire hydrant, and into somebody's house. And thank goodness nobody was in the bedroom that my car entered. That, and there were other things around it, like I didn't have insurance, and why I didn't have insurance, and all these things. I went to jail. not for a long period of time. Thankfully, I like went overnight. And there were a lot of things around it. It was a really profound tower moment. And it changed me. It woke me up. And it was like, you are on the road to ruin. And if you don't change your life, you're going to die sooner than later, and maybe take other people with you. And so, yeah.
I've talked about this extensively on my channel. I had that moment in 1997 where I was like, you're going to die. If you don't stop doing this crap, you're going to die. All of your friends are already dead. You're going to die. And it's not easy changing your viewpoint on life and attacking a new life. So kudos, my friend.
Thank you. Thankfully, it was a
Yeah.
long time ago. And, you know, that realization gave me the gift to go on.
So that type of experience can be a weight on somebody trying to go forward. The star card is our next card. This is about direction in the future. But I actually have two questions, so I'm going to cut it down. I was going to ask, do you have problems dragging your past forward with you? Or are you able to alchemize it for a brighter future? And my other question was basically, who was your guiding light? I know it's a lot to throw at you.
Yeah, and I'm so succinct as well, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think that just even sort of like illustrating that story of the tower moment and the aspects of, forgiveness with my father that has extended into other parts of my life in terms of grace. I think that those are illustrations of, I think that I'm able to bring, or alchemize my past and bring it into, bring it forward into my current life, or allow those things to coexist. I mean, I'm a product of my past. How can I not be, for better or worse? And so, yeah, in terms of my own guiding light, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of stars in the sky. Um, but there are two that come to mind. Uh, one of them is my mom. My mom was always there for me. We we had a weird relationship. We would fight a lot over the stupidest things. Usually, at the end of an argument, I would be like, "Why are we arguing? We both agree with each other. Why are we fighting?" You know? But uh, but no matter what, she was always there for my sister and I. Um, and yeah, so, and then, another one would have been my stepsister, Cindy. Um, she is the person who uh, wasn't able she wasn't able to survive her own demons ultimately, but she was the one who encouraged me to battle my own to victory. And like, I quit high school twice. She's like, you got to go back to high school. My parents tell me go back to high school. Whatever. You're my parents. My sister tells me to go back to high school.
That's
I
a
pay
difference.
attention to that, right? Like, she was a very important figure in my life in that way. So those would be my two guys.
Fantastic. Um, You brought up a good point. There's a lot of stars in the sky. And when you said that, I was thinking certain clusters of stars
Mm.
always catch. I'm going to have to think on that. That's an interesting thought you just put in my brain. All right. So the moon is our next card. And the moon can be a scary card at times. This is just for fun. What is your greatest fear, either real or imagined? For instance, zombies. Terrified of zombies.
There was a time in my life where that would have been my answer. I'm very serious. When I was a little kid, uh, I think it was, they showed it as a trailer to the Rocky Horror. Like, I went to go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like some midnight show. This is how old I am, right? Throwing rice and toast and
I did that.
yeah. It, like, why don't we do shit like that now?
No.
It was fun. Anyway, there was a trailer opening that for Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero version in the mall, right? And there was an image in there where someone was up against a wall. And I mean, I've worked in movies now, like I know how they do all of this. It was like some spandex wall that looked like a wall, and these faces and hands start moving through it, right? That was the most terrifying thing in the world. I just got to chill. That was the most terrifying thing in the world to me, and I was terrified of zombies. I will still have nightmares to this day about zombies, but it's not like it used to be. I feel like the oversaturation of the horror market with zombies has really quelled a lot of that that fear. And so what I have a real fear of more than anything else is where are you? Is that, and not my own death, not my own, the death of people and things that I love, regardless of where they're, like, when I say things, I mean animals, regardless of where they're going and how they may continue on, they're not with me anymore. Like, here in the physical world where I can, I mean, you talk about being a witch and being able to talk to ancestors and everything, and yes, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the
And
same.
and I fear that. I do. I fear losing Pookie. I fear losing my husband. I fear, like, that's my biggest fear.
I'm trying to alchemize a lot of fear right now, both for my own health, my husband's health, a lot going on around me, and I can't handle clients, my channel, and all this at one time. So I had to pull back a little bit
Mm.
and get myself in order. And now things are going better. So I'm reattacking. But on the zombie topic, it was that George Romero movie in the 70s that messed me up, traumatized.
Yeah.
Remember that scene at the beginning where a guy rips her shoulder off? That right there just screwed me up for life.
I've been to that mall. I've been to the mall where where
Which
he
mall
shot
was
it.
that?
It's outside of Pittsburgh. And I don't remember the name
Selena.
of the mall. You can Google it. But there's a small little museum to the movie inside, and it's totally cheesy.
I would
Looks
love to meet Tom
terrible, totally
Savini.
amateur. Yeah.
I would love that.
But it was funny when I went there. I was in Pittsburgh working on a film, and so I was like, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go to the George Romero Mall, and I'm gonna go see Falling Water, the Frank Lloyd Wright house. Right, those were my two big things. And the mall, Monroeville, yes. When I was driving around, and it's huge now, and they built and built on it, and I'm driving around the parking lot trying to get out, and I can't, because people are just walking around the parking lot, not paying attention to where they're going, slow, whatever. And I'm like, no wonder he shot this movie here. This must be where he got the inspiration for
The
it. These people
zombies.
are all there. It's like they're zombies shuffling
That
around aimlessly.
that movie messed me up.
Me
Um,
too.
and when I saw it, I was a little kid. So yes, I peed the bed for a while. Uh, that was a scary movie. Come on.
It was.
So now we've got the sun. What
Yes.
brings you joy, and how do you celebrate your successes?
Pookie brings me joy, a great deal of joy. And I like traveling with my husband. That is something that brings me a great deal of joy. It's funny. I don't really think about that much, but the things that really bring me joy are the things that bring me peace. And you may not think that traveling is that, but there's an element of that. Like, I'm Capricorn, so once I get all of the pre-planning done and I have
Another
the itinerary all filled out with all of the confirmation numbers and contact numbers and addresses of where we're going and all of that, once that's all done, then it's relaxing into the trip and the peace of it, right? So for me, I guess the things that bring me joy are the things that bring me peace.
That's beautiful. That really is. I try to think of happy things throughout the day, not just problems. I've been working on this mindset of, am I having a bad day, or am I having a bad 5 minutes that I'm trying to milk into a bad day? So
That's a
I'm trying to be
really
aware.
great observation, and I'm going to use that, Bobby. I'm going to incorporate that into my mindset. I've never really thought of it that way. Am I having a bad day or a bad 5 minutes? And
Yeah,
it's
because
usually going to be a bad 5 minutes, right?
I can milk 5 minutes into a week if I really try, but um, I'm really focusing on what is. Your hair looks great. Yeah, very Leo-esque. I know. I was running late. I'm
Your
really
hair does
working
look
on.
great.
I'm trying to grow it out, Jason Momoa. This is it. Everybody's going along for the ride. This is part of my channel. Um, Stop milking it, Bobby. Shut up, Selena. Yes, I try to be aware of the negative things and keep them minimized, but I also try to be aware of the joyful things and magnify that. I believe in balance. Balance is everything. We were taught, I think, in our generation, critical thinking was something I was taught in school, where you're taught to look at both sides of a story, which is something they don't teach anymore, and I wish they would.
Mm.
Um, so before I get too far off for Selena giving me shit over here, uh, judgment. We are so close to the end. So if you were called to account for your life today, what would you say is your true calling or purpose? You've made reference to your legacy projects. I'm interested to hear more on that.
I mean, this work is my true calling and purpose. And I never understood the depth of what a calling was or meant or what it felt like before I heard tarot calling to me. I knew what it meant intellectually. I grew up Catholic, right? Vocation, calling, all of this language surrounding those who enter into a sacred life within the Roman Catholic Church, which is not my world, but I was around it. I understood that intellectually. Oh yeah, that's your calling because that's what you chose to do. I don't know. But when the cards began calling to me, it was I can't even describe it because it was so spiritual. It was really powerful. It wasn't just like a song or a voice or music, like a siren drawing me in. There was something magnetic with it as well. It was the most real thing I've ever felt that was not a part of the physical world or among them. As I say it now, I'm like thinking of like other other things that have happened to me sort of in the spiritual world that I know are true, but this was something lasting, something commanding, right?
Right.
If you don't follow me, you're you're it's not even like, it wasn't even like if you don't follow me, it was, there was no question of following it. It was like more, how do you follow me? I feel like I'm sounding very like born again and saying it this way, and in a sense there is an aspect of that to it, but not not in that sort of uh the connotations of Christian born again
Well, as the
aspects.
primer on spirituality we get in the United States here, everything is, we're taught that before anything else. So that's basically where we're coming from. Um,
Yeah, but it's this. It's what I'm doing.
I like to open people's eyes, and even I don't want to teach people how to use magic. I want to teach people how to get in touch with their magic so they
Hmm.
can figure out how to use it. Um, it's not up to me to guide somebody's development, but I consider it my honor and privilege to put them on the path, to show them where the path is. And as long as I can do that, the rest is on them. Um,
And that's also fulfilling your path. Like as you're talking about that, I'm thinking the same thing. It's okay to be a guide and to help people find that. Like that's where I talk about empowerment, right? I may be the person who, as a teacher in some aspect or a mentor in some aspect, I give some tools to somebody, but they have to pick them up and build their own house, right? But as they're doing that, I'm following my path at the same time.
Love that. So we are down to our last question, and it's an easy one. It's a great big world out there. Um, where would you like to visit and why? It could be somewhere you've already been, it could be somewhere you've only thought about.
Um, I mean,
For me, it's Greece. I'd like to see Greece. I'd like to see the Parthenon.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that too. There's so many things. I'm like, do I do I want to see somewhere? Do I want to limit myself to this world, or do I want to go somewhere else? I mean, part of it is that, right? But I'm going to limit it to this world just to uh, to condense that space. Um, Gosh, there's so many. This is like one of those questions where someone goes, "What is your favorite fill in the blank?" And
Right?
I'm like, "No, I don't have one favorite anything." And my favorites change. Like they can change within a day, let alone over a course of a longer period of time.
Right.
So having to narrow, like, what's the one place you would want to visit? But oh gosh, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Egypt.
Egypt. What a great choice. Greece and Egypt are at the top of my list. Both for spiritual reasons. I
Hmm.
like my sister's thing is Mesopotamia. We both want to see the roots of where things started. And for me, going to Greece and looking at these and going to Egypt, that would be fulfilling spiritually for me, but it would also be really cool to see the big, pretty buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so there is that. I'm going to open up the floor to see if anybody had a question for you while we chit chat for a second. So if you guys have a question for James, please put it in capitals. We're about to wrap this up. So chop, chop, beeps. All right. I can hear your cards as you do. Selena and I do the same thing. I mean, the same exact thing when we're talking. We've always got a deck in our
They're
hands.
they're always here. I've got a few.
If I wasn't working the mouse here, I'd have a deck in my hand also.
I've been
um,
playing with this deck a lot lately, which I really it's I mean it's a classic old deck, right? It's the Aquarian Tarot,
yeah.
but it's the orange back
Oh, I haven't seen that.
edition from 1970. It's not a very common edition to come across, and it's weird because like some of the cards are bent and they're very very thin card stock,
Yeah.
but they don't riffle. I love to riffle shuffle. They don't riffle very well, but I don't know. There's just something about this particular edition that I have been drawn to, and I think part of it is I don't know who owned these cards before me, but and how many people may have owned them before me, but there's a legacy in this particular deck that I can feel is powerful, and it's been one of my go-to decks lately.
Since you brought it up, I'm going to throw this out to you. What is your opinion on the old belief that your first deck has to be gifted to you?
Did that just answer
Personally,
your question? Did you see
yeah,
me roll my eyes?
that's the same response I have.
I don't listen. I read cards at TarotArts on Thursdays, and it's the largest brick and mortar shop dedicated to tarot and oracle decks in Southern California. And when I'm not in a reading, I'm out on the floor, and not because I have to work the floor. That's not my role there. But I love tarot so much, and I like talking to people about it and helping people find what they're looking for. And I get people come in a lot of times, asking that question or saying, and this really makes me sad, like looking at a deck and going, wow, I really love this deck, but I can't buy it for myself. I have to, and I'm like, why? No, this is the deck you should be buying for yourself, because that's the one you're connecting to. You can't wait for somebody to buy you a deck. That's superstition. And
That's
I don't
superstition.
believe in imbuing the world of tarot with more superstition. There's something divine in the cards, right? There is something absolutely spiritual and divine and connected with the tarot and somewhere else. And but superstition shouldn't play a role in that, in my opinion.
Ideally, when I get a new deck, I do like to cleanse it, sit it on my altar for a night, charge it, all that good stuff. But let's be honest, there's been times I walked into the store I was reading out of here, and just to drop in and say hi. And she said, I have a client here. Can you do a reading? I'm in shorts and Crocs and didn't have a deck with me. So I grabbed one off the shelf and went in and I did the reading and it was perfect. I've never been one who believed that the cards are in themselves a mystical thing. They are a tool to help bring out, is my belief. what is your opinion on whether the cards themselves contain energy?
That's a really interesting question. I am of both minds. There's a part of me that would say, if you go in to a shop or you order something from Amazon, which I shouldn't have even said the word, because I'm not a fan, especially with magical tools. They're not treated in a magical way or revered at all by them, at least like the mass market publishers, like, US Games and Llewellyn and Rockpool and all of those guys, Wiser. They may be creating a mass number of decks for profit, but they come from a foundation of spiritual belief, and the people who work there, and their mission is different. So, but even in that case, I don't believe, I'm like looking around to see if I have a deck like that. It might, like, handy, but I don't believe that the deck itself, when it comes off of the printing press, is suddenly imbued with magical properties. But I do believe that when we do the work with them and we fill them with intention, and through those rituals, right, cleansing how we connect with the cards, when people say, sleep with your deck under your pillow at night to connect to it. I don't do that because I think it is a little uncomfortable and maybe can damage the cards, but like, put them on your nightstand. It's the same thing. You don't actually have to bring them, create a relationship with them, and through ritual cleansing. And there's so many ways that you can cleanse your cards, right? Even shuffling them is a form of cleansing. So I believe they become imbued with those magical properties, because I will tell you, and I shouldn't be, but every single day that I work with them, I am astonished at what they can do. And that's not me, that's them.
Once I've accepted a deck, and I use that phrase specifically, I have a lot of decks, but I've accepted only a certain number of them. And those are the ones I call my working cards. I've got a stash set up over here of cards that I actually deal with clients. I do collect cards for fun. And before you say, y'all, you make fun of me and Selena for having a lot of cards and give us shit. Buckle up, Buttercup. James, how many decks would you say you have circa?
I have in excess of 1,300 decks.
There you have it. All right, so I don't ever want to hear you guys give me crap again. I collect,
but you know what? It's also, it's part of my work, and it's part of my scholarship, right? Being able to go to the British Museum to apply to the Prints and Drawings reading room and pull up decks from the 15th and 16th century that I can actually sit with and touch and look at, and study as part of my work and my scholarship, is incredible. But when I want to see one of them in real life, it's maybe not the real one, but then I can come over here and I can pull this off of my shelf and go, I want to look at a historic Visconti Sforza deck, right? And here it is. And I like having the legacy of tarot at my fingertips and the diversity of tarot at my fingertips. It informs how I read and how I understand and process and deliver.
Each deck has a different voice, just like each person has different ears. So I try to match the deck to the person. The more decks I have, the better the matching. That's the way I view it. That's my reason. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
No, you're absolutely. I respect what you say about allowing the, trying to match the deck with the voice or the ears of the person. I don't feel compelled to do that personally because I'm the one who's reading it. So it has to be me that connects with it. But I do want to be able to deliver the messages in a way that someone can hear. But what I really want to highlight in that you said that is so important is that every deck has its own voice. And if you take 2 or 3 or 5 different decks, and let's say you take the suit of wands and you lay your ace to tens out on the table, and you do that with 5 different decks, and you look at how each one of those cards is represented in those different decks, you're going to hear and see different things. I've had aha moments in that way where I've read a definition in a book, but I didn't really get it. And then I saw it in contrast with another card of the same card, or I just saw that card and it made sense to me finally. That's me, and that's how I think. But I tell people all the time, a tarot deck, so I've got 2 different decks here, right, in front of me. A tarot deck is like an office environment. If you work in or any sort of environment where you come together with a bunch of different people that you don't normally hang out with, it's an ecosystem, right? This is an ecosystem and this is an ecosystem. It's like different departments at a company, and within each department, which would be a deck, there's a language that everybody who works in that department speaks and knows each other and spends a lot of time together, right? But in the corporate mission, both of these departments are working towards the same goal. They have the same mission. They're trying to manufacture the same thing or bring some service to people, whatever it is. They have the same mission, but they don't work together. These people have an ecosystem of language. These people have an ecosystem of language, and they don't frequently cross, but they're on the same goal. When you have a company Christmas party or a 4th of July picnic or whatever, and you bring all of the departments together and people start, okay, this is going to freak some people out. They're going to get really upset with me. And you start mixing these people together at that company party, and they start talking to each other, and they start realizing, oh, you do it that way, I do it this way. Oh, you thought it meant that? I always thought it meant this. Oh, that's really interesting. And they start dialoguing together. I teach a class called mixing metaphors or mixed metaphors. Is like mixing your oracle and tarot cards together for amplified readings because they have different dialects.
I'm going to have to take that class. That sounds like something I would totally be interested in. And you just gave Selena.
I see that. Yeah. Now after we're done, I'm going to have to go back and fix
right.
That,
I do want to say there are times when I mostly read with the Rider-Waite-Smith or my Santa Muerte deck. Those are my go-tos. But there is one other deck that I use when I'm doing YouTube's lives just for fun, and it works just as well. And that is my Marvel Tarot. I am a big kid, and I love that deck. All right. I'm a superhero kid. I grew up with comic books. I speak pop culture in my readings. And when I use that deck, I make my clients laugh and I get my message across. So it works perfectly. Selena had a question before we wrap this up. Selena yelled, "Oh God," when you did that. She asked, and I started here. What movie was the favorite one that you worked on, and why?
Do you remember what I said about favorites, Selena? It's really hard for me to pick one, so I'm going to say two. Um, well, now as I say that, I'm going to say three for different reasons. Okay, and then I'm going to stop. So I think my all-time favorite film that I worked on for a lot of different reasons was uh, Annabelle Comes Home. So that was the third installment of the Annabelle franchise. Um, I loved working on that movie because uh, the director of that film, Gary Dauberman, is a friend and someone that I've come up with in this industry, um, who respected everybody and everybody's role on that film, who always made time for people. And respected my position, which is not always a highly respected position on a film. Um, and I had all of the resources available to me to do my job, and everybody was amazing to work with. Plus, we shot it in LA. It was not far from where I live. I could go home at night. There were, and like the guys, I think the guys on the prop, was it the prop truck? I think the guys on the prop truck, they rescued like a bunch of kittens one time, and they had them on the truck like until they could get them some, like there was so many like really amazing and great things about that film. It was also the most haunted set I've ever worked on, and I've worked on a few haunted sets.
You're not getting away. Okay, stop the bus. Whoa, hold on. Expand on that haunted. Just because that caught my ear. You know what? No, I'm going to ask you to come back another time because I've kept you for 2 hours. I'm not going to
I
drag this
was
out
like,
any.
is that how long these people is? It's just me because
Yeah.
I talk so much. But
No, normally it's about an hour 20, but I apologize. I just caught sight of how
no,
long
I
we've been
apologize
on.
to anybody who's watching this who's like, oh my gosh, this is going on for 2 hours and I don't know
Honestly,
how to
some
shut
of
up.
our
But
reading sessions go 3 hours, so but the interviews rarely do. So I apologize again.
no, that's fine. I'd be happy to come back and talk about haunted sets sometime. But that was a good one. I really liked that one. And then another film that I really loved working on that was a powerful film on many different levels was Milk, the film about Harvey Milk.
Harvey Milk.
Yeah. So we shot that in San Francisco. Um, I had I had this amazing apartment on top of Russian Hill that I swore the I swear the woman who owned it, she was like Mrs. Madrigal from Tales of the City. She embodied that character, and that house, it was like going back in time, but also going back in time because we tried to shoot everything in the film in the actual locations where things occurred, and we invited everybody who was still alive, who was a part of Harvey's life and in the 70s in San Francisco, to be a part of the film. And I got to know these people and become friends with people, like uh, like Gilbert. I'm blanking on his last name right now, which is terrible. But Gilbert, who created the rainbow flag, he created it for the first Pride parade in San Francisco. He sewed it in his house, and I'm blanking on everybody's last names. Frank, who was Harvey's speechwriter, and I was doing an interview with him that day, scheduled to do an interview, and we were shooting on the steps of San Francisco City Hall, and Sean Penn was going up to deliver the "Gotta Give 'Em Hope" speech, and Frank arrived, and I said, okay, you ready? Come on, let's go on. All business Capricorn publicist, let's go do your interview. And he's like, is it okay if we just sit here for a minute? Can I watch one take? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Inside, I'm going, oh, time schedule. But I'm like, yeah, of course. So we sit down on the steps and we watch this take, and Sean is like delivering this really powerful speech. And Frank nudges me with his elbow in the side and he goes, I wrote that. I mean, these
Really?
moments, that was such an incredibly special project to be involved in. So I'm grateful for that. And then the last one I'll say is The Nun, because that's where I found Pookie.
Whoa. That was a jump scare movie that got me. That movie got me. Yes, everybody would love to have you back on. I'd love to listen to another
thank
interview of
you.
you too. Selena said the same thing. James, I really want to thank you for joining me today. His website and information is in the description box, you guys. You said, do you do online classes?
I have not done them on my own. But and I don't do them frequently, but I've had a lot of people asking me. So that's part of what I'm trying to incorporate into my
I'm trying to figure out
structured.
how to do it myself. So yeah, I feel you on
But
that.
but I will be. I don't have anything scheduled right now, but I will be. My passion is tarot history, and I have taught a 6-week class on tarot history. So like one class per century, more or less.
Right.
And I would love to do that again. But yeah, there's a lot I would like to do. And I just wanted one little plug for the Los Angeles Festival of Tarot.
Yes. You guys
Coming
don't
up in June.
understand. Maybe it's just because I'm from the LA area, Long Beach, that is a big thing for me. I'm like, now you freaking do it. Now that I'm not living in the state anymore, fine. Anyway, I want to thank everybody. James, stick around. We'll talk backstage. I will be back on Wednesday with Joey, doing our thing, and then Thursday night Selena and I are actually going to be doing a night of readings as opposed to doing a topic for discussion. We just want to chill and reconnect with you guys because we've been off air for a couple of weeks, so we'll do that. Everybody, James, stick around. See you guys
I
later.
pulled one last card.
What is it? I can't see.
It's the Lovers.
No.
That's how I feel about this show.
I love it. Awesome. I'm really glad you're here. And
thank you everybody who tuned in.
All right, and I'll see you guys soon. Check out James's website and his shows, and I'll see you guys. Bye. And remember, don't ever let your